Can a mom tell her son to divorce his wife in Islam? Wow. Well, you see, there's two parts to this. Well, yes, she can say that. She can say anything. But he has his own brain, you see. So people can say anything. Always remember that. People can, somebody could tell you to do a handstand. Somebody can tell you to jump out of a window. Somebody can tell you to, they can tell you. And I'm sure parents often do these things because they will meddle in the child's affairs. Because you see, this is another thing. Parents often, and many people are, and sometimes I don't know if it's not about their fault. They've just not known differently, that they live their lives vicarious, like they try to live their children's lives vicariously through them. So it's like, yeah, I could never have been this. I'm gonna make you that. Yeah, I always want to be a doctor. Yeah, could never be a doctor. Right, you're gonna become a doctor. Don't get me wrong. I think becoming a doctor would be awesome, and I would love it. If my kids became doctors, or I'm sure people would love that. And I think it's an amazing profession. I rate doctors, or the profession I rate. But uh, obviously it's got its problems. But the point is that people may not want to, they may not coincide with their wills and desires. So somebody may want to be something else. And ultimately, you have to. So people may say anything, and relationships is something that they definitely, especially desi parents, are going to be meddling. Meddling isn't the word. They are in control with they've got the control pads. Oh, I think desi parents and relationships is like that could just be like a whole TV series. Not even a TV, that could be like a TV channel. Just has so many problems, honestly. And yeah, it's about learning to let go. I think it's difficult. I tell you, Freud, he would have loved to prove, because you see, even though he's trying to prove it from a sexual perspective, which obviously is nonsensical and ridiculous, but still, because he's highlighting the bond that the mother and son have. And he says that, there's this that the mother and son, especially not the daughter, but the mother and son bond, which he's fixated on, I think is so greatly exemplified or is instantiated within the desi kind of setting, because it's so it's so apparent in, maybe not all, but in many, how the sons are completely favored, and the sons are, with the mother especially. So the mother and son bond, and it's like, then the son becomes the number one. He's like the number one over everything. He's the number one, above the husband, above her father, above everyone. It's the son. And and then there's this great sense of kind of jealousy, almost, of the son being shared with another woman, which in this case is the wife. And then there's this tragic Armageddon that plays. This a great battle of good versus evil, that plays out in this household, sometimes dramatized as Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi. God, ya salam. Ya salam. May Allah make it easy for all these people. Yeah, so it's a recipe for disaster. But I think Freud would have loved the field work, the data that he could have collected from desi households. He would have been like, yes, this is what I was talking about. This kind of, although he was trying to prove something, he had a different theory, underlying theory, but the data is definitely there in the bond. Right. So evil Bahu versus helpless mother drama. Yeah, this is it. So yeah, and really and I think what happens is the husbands, they need to really kind of man up, if I can say that, and handle the goddamn situation. Okay, stop being a little child. Because what happens? They completely recede, and they just like fight, contenders, fight. This is a duel to the death. It's ridiculous. And I get it that obviously where is he? Because he has loyalties both ways. But so what? Be a man. You've married this person, take responsibility, get yourself a different place, live separately, understand parameters, parameterize the relationship. Explain nicely to your mother that, look, listen, this isn't. And also to the wife as well. I mean, you could just and sometimes there needs to be, because this is territorial behavior. You see, you have to separate the territories. It's like it's like this is that evolution. You see, you can't have two women like that in the same household. It's it's going to be a lot of territorial kind of like. So you're going to come back to a lot of bloodshed. So you got to separate the territories. Yeah. Right. So yeah, definitely live separately. 100%. I would always say that. And the problem is that you see the parents may guilt trip and say, well, is this a sense of abandonment? Because the mother, like I said, her bond with the son is that powerful from her perspective in the Desi setting that you see any sense of distancing, um, it signifies rejection and abandonment. That's what it symbolizes for her. So, because in her psyche, proximity, physical proximity means proximity in loyalty. So the closeness symbolizes that. So distance, it symbolizes a sense of rejection and abandonment. And this has to be addressed. See, a person, they have to just address it and say, well, it doesn't mean that. Nobody's abandoning anyone. It's not. So, and I think, yeah. Speaking of which, somebody said mother's guilt trip. But you know what? I want to say, just caveat that as well by saying, look, understand where they're coming from. Because people give the parents, and we'll dedicate a show to this, to the parent kind of issues. People give them a kind of a bad rap, and you've got to understand that, look, they are coming from a position of love. And the problem is that the mothers haven't known any differently. So you can't suddenly see. This is why a person, when I'm saying they have to handle it with maturity on both sides. There is no good and evil, good versus evil Armageddon taking place. They have to understand the mother's feelings as well. You don't need to be heart crushing towards anyone. You can still keep and express a bond of love, and you can do that. Like if you just be mature and sensible enough, and you understand that. And this is the thing. Sometimes people are like, oh, and they just. But right, let's move on, people.